A huge area in Africa known as the Sahel is becoming a powder keg. The region is riddled with poverty, conflict, and despair. Terrorists are turning it into a battleground. George Thomas brings us the story from the heart of the crisis.
The Sahel stretches east to west across portions of 10 African countries, including Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad.
It spans thousands of miles, very remote.
Here, the sun beats down relentlessly. The air, dry and stifling. People live in the shadow of the Sahara and struggle to survive.
The life in the region is very harsh.
The reality is brutal, with 80% of the population living on less than $2 a day. It's a place where survival often feels like a constant battle. The governments across the Sahel are weak, torn apart by political instability and corruption. And into this void have stepped Islamic extremists.
The Sahel's the epicenter of global terrorism.
Steve Kelelea's organization, which publishes the annual Global Terrorism Index, shows the Sahel has become ground zero for global terrorism, surpassing even Afghanistan and Iraq.
What we find is the number of deaths there have increased 10 times since 2019.
More than half of all terrorism-related deaths worldwide occurring here. The primary perpetrators are ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Terrorism analyst Bill Roggio, editor of the Long War Journal, says these groups, despite being bitter rivals, share a common vision.
They want to establish a global caliphate and impose their harsh version of Sharia or Islamic law on the people.
Rida Liamori, a Sahel expert at the Morocco-based Policy Center for the New South, tells CBN News that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are rapidly expanding their hold.
When we talk about the Sahel and the conflict, we are referring mainly to the three countries of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, but also we can include parts of Chad and Mauritania.
The signs of this unraveling are clear. Since 2000, there have been 6 coups in the region.
You have weak African governments. You've had multiple juntas that have overthrown established governments that have been friendly to both the United States and the French. And it's become a very, very dangerous area.
Here in Chad's capital, in N'Djamena, residents fear instability in neighboring nations could spill over its borders.
This part of Africa is complex. We have war in Sudan, instability in Libya, Burkina Faso, and Mali. All these countries are in a state of chaos, and that can have an impact on Chad.
While Christian humanitarian organizations like World Vision are trying to help, the situation remains dire. In western Chad's Lak province, Boko Haram's violent cross-border raids have left a trail of destruction by abducting women and children and forcing thousands to flee their home.
It's a triangle between 3 countries, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. Because of the militancy, they drive people in different directions through their activities. And so our humanitarian imperative drives us to go into these places because we know most of the people affected by this are women and children.
In the last couple of years, the United States, along with the French, have really helped the Chadian government to come up with a very strong anti-terrorism unit that has aggressively gone after ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Boko Haram elements operating within the country. The West, which once tried to stabilize the region, has been kicked out. The US and France have been forced to withdraw from key bases in Chad and Niger, leaving behind a power vacuum that extremists are eager to fill.
The U.S. spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build the air base in northern Niger, and then suddenly they have to leave everything behind. And it's the same thing, they have left Chad, they have left Mali, and they have left this void.
Giving the terror groups more freedom.
A country like Burkina Faso, half of it is considered to be under the control of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda controls significant portions of Mali. The Islamic State also has significant presence in Mali and in Niger.
Kelalia adds the threats are not confined to just these countries. Togo, Benin, and Ivory Coast now face danger as well. In February, Moroccan authorities arrested several individuals plotting attacks on behalf of ISIS. As the West retreats, Russia is seeking influence, securing arms deals with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. In early April, their foreign ministers visited Moscow, where Russia pledged to arm and train a 5,000-strong force.
In return, what Russia gets is access to a lot of the natural resources within these countries, especially gold.
Giving the Kremlin additional funds to continue its war against Ukraine.
I would also add to that, the Russians are looking to deal a blow to U.S. and European influence within Africa as well.
With Western powers withdrawing, Russia expanding its presence, and local governments faltering, the Sahel faces an uncertain future. Experts warn the growing Islamic threat will further destabilize the region. George Thomas, CBN News, Eastern Chad.
Well, sub-Saharan Africa has been a troubled spot for a very long period of time. The British Empire, all the way back 150 years ago, tried to bring peace to that region, particularly in Sudan, and absolutely failed at it. Here, the U.S. Army is leaving its military bases. There's a memo going around the Trump administration that they're going to restructure the State Department and actually withdraw entirely from the continent. These are all very troubling developments, because when you withdraw, then you absolutely leave a power vacuum. And who's going to fill that? Well, it's the ones who have weapons and who are organized. And so are you going to leave it to Boko Haram? Are you going to leave it to ISIS? Are you going to leave it to Al-Qaeda? There are a lot of different Muslim radical groups operating in the region, and what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is the people under that control are going to live in absolute terror. There's going to be hopelessness for them. But here's what Christians can do. We can continue to pray, regardless of what our government does, regardless of whether it's Europe or the United States withdrawing. We can continue to pray. We can continue to send help, but most importantly, let's continue to preach the gospel. We do our best work in troubled times and in troubled areas. That's when people are looking desperately, is there a God who cares? And we need to be there and say, yes, there is, and he cares for you. Let's continue to preach the gospel, even in the most difficult area of the world.
I got out of my patrol car and I slipped.
I went from having a promising career as a neuroscientist to having a medical death sentence.
I said, shock him one more time.